Have you checked the children?
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Sometimes that is better.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Howdy folks, welcome back to the Horror Show. I'm Robert Duell.
And you got Jaime and Fuego here, and this is a Fresca review. Yes, getting all fresh with y'all. And this is for one that was recommended to us, Robert and myself, and the rest of the crew by none other than Susie von Slaughter, because she watched it on Shudder, where it was recently made available. It's actually based on a book called In This Way, I Was Saved, and it's called Daniel Isn't Real, and it's about imaginary friends and what sort of creepy havoc and nefarious nastiness they could just sprinkle into our respective lives and stuff. It's Miles Jones, is it?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, and then also Patrick Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And yeah, so basically it's about this kid named Luke who, when he is much younger, has an imaginary friend who, it seems all well and good at first. They're having sword fights and it's all cute and whatnot. But then he has the little whispering in the ear to put a bunch of pills into a drink that he gives his mother. The mother almost dies, and yeah, so after that transpires, he locks away the imaginary friend in this proverbial little like house castle, almost like little thing, and then he doesn't actually get back into contact with this presence, this entity, imaginary friend, whatever you want to classify it as, until another thing kind of goes down as he gets older and he's left the house and he's in college and his mom is having some empty nest scenario where she's just sad about her son no longer being there. And dude, overall impressions for me, I was very impressed with this film. I know that it's not really that unique in what it did, but I felt like the execution was very solid. I liked the dynamic. I thought it was very well shot. And it was borderline psychedelic at times. And while it didn't end up veering into the territory in the third act that I was expecting with some of the hints they gave in like the second act with mental illness and whatnot, I was impressed, and I really dug the hell out of this movie. And I don't know if it would have crept into my top 10 of 2019 horror films, but it probably would have been in my top 20, I would say. So what were your thoughts, man?
No, I was actually pleasantly surprised by this movie. Like I had it saved on Shudder and everything before Susie brought it up to us and everything. So it's like once I heard the recommendations, like, all right, well now I need to get on this. Took a little bit to finally get back into it and everything. Finally,
takes time.
Finally got done. But no, I loved the hell out of this movie. I was actually pleasantly surprised on basically between just the acting from some actors that I don't really know of, from mainly just minor roles and everything, like our main character, small roles from cock blockers and things like that. What is it?
And then also
Schwarzenegger, yeah. He was also, he played one of the like a douchey boyfriend in Scout's Guide to Zombie Apocalypse.
Ah, yeah, that's what you mentioned off camera before.
Yep. Great movie if you guys haven't seen that. But anyways,
and then Luke's love interest, you said.
She was from the recent Hellboy. Yes.
Well, I guess there's two love interests in this technically, but the one who has much more of a resonant
his
presence
predominant love interest,
the
and
one
everything.
who paints him and everything.
Yeah. Which honestly, like, everyone did great. Visually, this movie was very pretty. And there was some times actually I was kind of weirded out and kind of unsure of what the hell was actually going on.
In the third act especially, cavernous, like, kind of, I don't know, areas of what looks kind of like a castle without getting too much into it.
Yeah.
Like, are they underground? Are they in the mine? Like,
beautiful,
what is
but yet creepy at the same time.
Yeah, nutsoid lighting, man, which I especially like, too.
Exactly, yeah. Those purple undertones and everything were really nice, along with, like, the reds. Like,
yeah, and it also, with overall impressions, gets into body horror in couple moments.
Yeah, that actually surprised the crap out of me.
Dude, the scene where it's his second time with the therapist.
Yes.
Yeah, and the pulling open of the stomach and stuff.
Well, that scene definitely, like, I was not expecting that.
Not at all.
But there was a scene prior, though, when the
face
melding
bits and stuff. We can talk about that effect.
A little bit, yeah. But yeah, no, I was hella happy with this movie, and
I dug it too.
I recommend everybody to watch this movie.
Yeah.
So
damn Rizzle, man.
Yeah. So basically, you want to just jump into acting real quick?
Well, yeah, we've covered enough of the story without really spoiling too much for you, I guess. I mean, Luke is basically he's in college, and his mother is kind of mentally unstable, as becomes very apparent when he goes to visit her. And by this particular point, he was already just trying to forge forward, but still there is a tragic thing that happens early in the film regarding his father. Yeah, that shootout stuff that happens at the very beginning, the coffee bar and all that nastiness that they basically begin the film with. But, I mean, yeah, his mom is having a tough time with being alone, and she's incoherent, unresponsive a lot of the time as he's hanging with her. And the reemergence of the friend, this imaginary friend Daniel, coincides from his childhood with his mom having a freak out bit, and she's not going after him, and yet he kind of compels Luke to make it seem like she is, and that's basically the in for him to institutionalize his mother. And then at that particular point, as he goes back and interacts more with other women and with certain friends, and tries to gain this confidence through Daniel over time, because he's kind of a timid
spirals out
little
of
guy.
control
It gets
real quick.
Boy, does it escalate really quickly in that second act. It definitely does. And then the third act is where a lot more is revealed, for better or for worse, as some would argue. Cecil wasn't as big of a fan of this as us, which is why he's not in on this particular review. A little too run-of-the-mill in certain regards for him, but I don't know. It brought enough of a distinguishing factor in certain aspects visually and performance-wise. I think too.
I definitely agree. There were like,
if we want to segue into the acting.
Yeah. So like we were briefly talking off camera and everything. There were a couple times where some of the acting, like line delivery, kind of pulled me out a little bit. But when it really counted, especially in that like the last half of the second and then into the third act, when it really counted, holy crap.
Yeah.
Like I was hella impressed, especially by like Schwarzenegger's kid and our main guy. What was his name again?
Luke.
Luke. Yeah. But no, they did great, especially for not really having much under their belt, like film wise. I thought everyone did great.
And like maybe is not as much serious work as
that
this
too.
Yeah,
That
I
too.
mean, if you're talking Scout's Guide and goofier horror
Yeah,
and stuff like
'cause-
that, there's not a lot of laughs in this movie,
No.
man, at all. It is pretty damn serious.
Like, exactly. And don't get me wrong, like there were a couple like here and there like giggles and everything, but predominantly this movie was a very serious and psychologically tormenting movie.
Yeah.
Like especially for people who are dealing with things that our character Luke is actually going through,
Schizophrenia,
and
elusive
things.
sense of self, and whatnot. And yeah, man, there's so much that I wish we could spoil in this
I
regard,
know.
because there's some distinctively interesting things that happens, and then there's other stuff where you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I was kind of anticipating that, so what are you gonna do? But effects wise, I definitely want to talk about that, man.
Yeah, definitely. Let's have you start off with the facts real quick.
Yeah, it starts out with this almost like visual like whirlpool of crazy colors, almost like black holishness of trippiness. Now this was produced by Spectrevision, which is Elijah Wood's company that also did Mandy and did a few
that makes
other
sense.
more triptastic visually films of this ilk that are a little more left of center and stuff. And so I definitely thought that in those scenes that we see, that I still was trying to figure out the resonance and the importance of that imagery, because I watched half of this and then I was falling asleep, and so I had to go back and rewatch the last 15 minutes or so midway through, and then I rewatched and finished it up and stuff. But yeah, it definitely does get trippy, and there are some very weird lighting aspects when you are stuck within just the confines of the mind, which I think was just a representation of that castle where Daniel was initially trapped, and that I thought was really dope. But really, I know we were kind of hinting at it earlier, the melding halfway through I thought was really trippy.
That especially in the first time we actually saw I'll just say the takeover,
the taking control.
Holy crap, that was freaking cool, because that was definitely some like John Carpenter thing kind of stuff right there.
Very much
I
so.
thought I liked that.
Yeah.
But like you were saying, like with like the effects for the castle and whatnot, the
strange
portal
red lighting down there and everything too. I mean, yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, and the sad thing is, like, a lot of like what we want, like, for the third act stuff on like the details, it'd really be more on a spoiler thing.
Yeah, we have to hold back, everybody.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, so it's kind of hard to show shed the details and everything on like the castle. We'll just say castle basically of the third act, but just think it's not exactly what you think it is.
Yeah, there are points when Daniel takes
is.
over. I mean,
Yeah.
halfway through it happens, and
Yep.
there are other instances. It basically turns into an internal struggle about halfway through the film. So he starts out as timid, and then he starts to realize that all of the advice maybe, it's pushing things too far, and it's causing friction in his real life, whether it's with the other girl he was kind of attracted to versus the one that he initially meets who paints him. And I liked her paintings. I mean, I thought those were very cool and well put together as well. So, I mean, I don't know. This is one that I wished we could spoil, but we want to hold off on it because I honestly want all of you to jump on Shudder and check out Daniel Isn't Real. Susie didn't steer us wrong in this regard.
No, definitely not. And I'm hella glad that we finally got around to watching this movie and doing the review. Maybe down the line we'll do a non-spoiler. Maybe.
Or like a full-on spoiler,
or
right?
A full-on spoiler, sorry.
Maybe we
yeah.
can twist Susie's arm to actually come and be involved with things sometimes. She's a very busy lady, so it's totally fine. But
we love you, Susie.
Yes, we do. Shout out to Suze. As far as sound design, music, and
sound
all of that...
Sound design was actually pretty good. The music and everything, I liked it a lot. There wasn't really anything that stuck out too big soundtrack-wise for me.
Not too profoundly, unfortunately, but I mean, just certain little oral cues.
Oh yeah,
and stuff,
especially when we start getting into like the psyche of the mind and everything.
Trapped within it.
Yeah, those sound effects were really nice, and those definitely helped to set the mood on the torment basically of what our character is going through.
Yeah, and also just the whole. I mean, whether being like trapped in there and the whole just constrained kind of claustrophobia, and also the desire to break through, and just the whole. I don't know, vindicating aspect of that. I mean, both of those were well documented, I suppose. So.
I don't know, maybe it's just me. I missed like the old school soundtracks and everything.
This is one that I thought was going to go, especially with the look at times, I thought it was going to go into one of those 80s super synthy kind of scores, and it really didn't,
Yeah. No, that's a little bit kind of where I was going and everything. Hell, even just like you throw, a couple small name bands in there and everything onto the soundtrack just to help elevate some of those scenes.
But it was
I think would have worked better. Yeah. But yeah, no. Other than that, like I'm not saying this is a terrible movie because actually I would easily give it at least an A. I would give it an A.
I dug the hell out of it, man. I mean, out of 10, I'd say like in the 8.5
yeah,
variety. This is pretty damn good.
About there.
It's pretty damn good. So
yeah,
I guess that's
that's pretty much about it and everything because everything else is really we just want to talk about spoiler stuff.
But Andrew Egypt Mortimer, he was the director of this and he was also the co-writer. Impressive stuff, and I look forward to seeing both of our respective leads, both of those dudes, and further things to come. Schwarzenegger's kid, actually pretty damn good.
I liked him. I'm looking forward to seeing what he comes out with in the future, especially with like if he's trying to get out from his dad's shadow and whatnot.
You have to. Taking roles like this is probably the best sort of way to do
that. I guarantee it. Yeah.
Damn right. Well, coolness, everybody.
Okay.
Well, gracias. And yes, if you have any interest in telling us what to review as opposed to just hearing things that we seek out ourselves, you need to go in the description below. Check out the Patreon. That's where you can request films. If you want to go to a slightly higher tier, you can also request a film for us to do an entire commentary about. That's always fun. And lastly, we have a boogie box if you want to be a super badass supporter of this particular channel. We essentially curate a package that we send out monthly that has all kinds of cool swag from different horror people that we know throughout the community. So you get some DVDs and different other cool little, perkies and stuff like that. So, yeah, everybody, gracias, I've been Jaime Fuego.
And I've been Robert Duell.
And until next time, Fright fans, remember, stay scared.